Dongmin Kim stood in the center of the Great Hall, watching as the votes appeared on the massive screen above. Red lights filled the display one by one, 23 red lights against one lonely blue light. His heart sank as he realized what this meant. Earth was being thrown out of the Galactic Council. The hall was huge, with seats rising up in circles around the center floor where Dongmin stood. Aliens from 47 different worlds sat in those seats, and almost all of them had voted against Earth. The Zeltharians with their purple skin and sharp teeth, the gas-breathing Methani in their protective suits, the rock-like granite people who never showed any feelings, all of them had turned against humanity. "The vote is clear," announced High Counselor Vexthal from his high seat. His voice was cold and harsh. "Earth is guilty of destroying the neutral trade station at Kepler 7. They are no longer welcome in civilized space." Dongmin felt anger building in his chest, but he kept his voice calm. "High Counselor, we have shown you all the proof. Humans did not destroy that station. Someone else did this and made it look like our ships were responsible." Vexthal's eyes glowed with a strange light. "The evidence is clear, Ambassador Kim. Human weapon signatures were found at the site. Human ship parts were in the wreckage. Your people have become too dangerous." "That evidence was planted," Dongmin shouted, finally losing control. "You know this is not true." The hall erupted in angry voices from the alien delegates. Some called for order. Others demanded that Dongmin be removed. But Dongmin kept talking, his voice rising above the noise. "For 200 years, humans have been loyal members of this council. We have fought in your wars, shared our technology, and helped keep peace in the galaxy. We discovered the fusion quantum drive and offered to share it with everyone. Is that why you fear us now? Because we created something new?" Admiral Hyejin Park stepped forward from where she had been standing behind Dongmin. She was a tough woman with scars on her face from many battles. "The trade station was destroyed by modified Zeltharian weapons," she said clearly. "Our investigation proves this." Chief Engineer Taeho Lee joined them, holding a data pad. "The ship parts found at the scene were stolen from our repair yards 3 months ago. We reported the theft to station security. But none of the aliens seemed to care about their evidence." Vexthal raised his hand for silence. "The decision has been made. Earth has 7 days to remove all of its ships and people from Council space. Your hyperspace beacons will be destroyed. Your trade agreements are ended. You are exiled." Dongmin looked around the hall one last time. Some of the aliens looked sad, but none of them stood up to speak for Earth. Fear had won over friendship. They were all afraid of what humans might become with their new technology. "Very well," Dongmin said quietly. "But remember this day. Remember that you chose fear over truth. Remember that you threw away your most loyal ally because someone else made you afraid." 3 days later, Dongmin stood on the bridge of the Earthship Harmony as it slowly moved away from the Council's capital world. Behind them, Earth's beautiful orbital stations were being taken apart by alien workers. The great shipyards where human and alien crews had worked together were being emptied. 2 centuries of cooperation were ending. Admiral Park joined him at the large window that looked out into space. "They're destroying the hyperspace beacon network around Earth," she said. "Without those beacons, it will take months to travel between star systems instead of days." Taeho Lee was working at a control station nearby. "I'm getting reports from all of our colonies. The aliens are taking over our bases and forcing our people to leave. They're keeping all the technology we built together." Dongmin watched as another Earthship joined their small convoy. More and more human ships were gathering as they prepared to leave Council space forever. Thousands of ships filled with millions of people who had done nothing wrong. "Sir," said Captain Moon Ho Jang from the communication station, "President Choi is asking to speak with you." The main screen lit up with the image of Jiwoo Choi, the president of Earth. She looked tired and angry. "Dongmin, what's the situation out there?" "We have 3 days left to get everyone out of Council space," Dongmin replied. "Most of our people are cooperating, but some don't want to leave their homes." "I understand," President Choi said. "But we have no choice. The Council has made it clear that any humans found in their space after the deadline will be arrested, or worse." "What about Earth itself?" Admiral Park asked. "Earth will survive," President Choi said firmly. "But we need to think about the people living on colonies far from home. We need somewhere to go." Taeho Lee looked up from his station. "I've been studying the star charts. There's a region called the Outer Rim that no one has explored much. The aliens avoid it because of some kind of space storms." "Space storms?" Dongmin asked. "Spatial anomalies," Taeho explained. They make it hard to navigate and communicate. But they might also hide us from the Council sensors. Admiral Park nodded slowly. If we can find a safe place out there, we could rebuild. Start over. President Choi was quiet for a moment. How many people are we talking about? About 12 million have volunteered to leave Earth and start new colonies, Admiral Park said. They're mostly young people, families, and anyone with useful skills. 12 million people, President Choi repeated. That's a lot of lives to be responsible for. Dongmin turned away from the window and faced the screen. Madam President, they want us gone because they're afraid of what we might become. Maybe it's time to show them they were right to be afraid. The president looked surprised. What do you mean? I mean, maybe it's time humans stopped trying to fit in with everyone else, Dongmin said. Maybe it's time we became something better, something stronger. You're talking about building our own empire, she said quietly. I'm talking about survival, Dongmin replied, and about making sure that no one can ever exile us again. The last human ship left Council space exactly 7 days after the vote. As they jumped into hyperspace toward the unknown regions of the Outer Rim, Dongmin made a promise to himself. Someday they would return, and when they did, the galaxy would remember why humanity had earned its place among the stars in the first place. 6 months had passed since the exile, and Earth was dying slowly. The alien traders had stopped coming, taking their food and medicine with them. The hyperspace beacons were gone, making travel between Earth's colonies almost impossible. Billions of people were trapped on a world that could no longer feed them all. President Ji-woo Choi stood in her office, looking at reports that grew worse every day. Food riots had started in the major cities. The government was running out of medical supplies. Without trade with other worlds, Earth's economy was falling apart. Madam President, said her aide, Admiral Park is here to see you. Admiral Hee-jin Park entered the office, still wearing her military uniform. She looked tired but determined. Madam President, we need to talk about Project Exodus. Ji-woo nodded. How many people have volunteered? 12 million so far, Park replied. We have engineers, doctors, teachers, farmers, and soldiers. All the skills we need to start new colonies. And ships. We've converted 300 cargo ships into colony vessels. They're not comfortable, but they can carry everyone who wants to leave. Ji-woo walked to the window and looked out at the city below. Smoke was rising from several areas where riots had broken out. The people who stay behind won't survive much longer. That's why we need to succeed out there, Park said. If we can build something in the Outer Rim, we can send ships back to help Earth. A communication screen lit up, showing Chief Engineer Tae-ho Lee. He was aboard one of the ships in orbit, making final preparations for the journey. President Choi, we're ready to begin the first wave of departures. What about the destination? Ji-woo asked. I found something interesting, Tae-ho said excitedly. There's a nebula in the Outer Rim called the Kepler Nebula. It's huge, full of resources, and the spatial storms make it almost impossible for other ships to enter safely. What makes you think we can enter safely? Park asked. Because humans are crazy enough to try things that scare everyone else. Tae-ho grinned. I've been studying the storm patterns. I think our fusion quantum drives can handle the energy fluctuations. 3 weeks later, the first convoy of human ships entered the Kepler Nebula. The journey was terrifying. Lightning-like energy bolts flashed around their ships. Space itself seemed to twist and bend in strange ways. Several ships were damaged, but none were lost. When they finally reached the center of the nebula, they found something amazing. A solar system with 5 planets, one of which was perfect for human life. The world had oceans, forests, and breathable air. Best of all, the energy storms that filled the nebula would hide them from any council sensors. It's beautiful, whispered Dr. So Young Nam, as she looked at the new world from the bridge of the colony ship New Hope. She was the chief scientist for the expedition, and she had never seen anything like this place. Admiral Park stood beside her. What should we call it? New Terra, Dr. Nam said. A new Earth for a new beginning. The first year was hard. The colonists had to build shelters, grow food, and set up basic industries. Many people died from accidents, disease, and the harsh conditions, but humans had always been good at surviving in difficult places. Tae-ho Lee worked day and night to build the infrastructure they needed. He designed new factories that could make everything from clothing to spacecraft. He created mining operations that dug rare metals from the planet's crust. Most importantly, he began building shipyards. We need more than just survival, he told Admiral Park as they walked through the construction site that would become the main shipyard. We need to build ships that are better than anything the Council has. Dr. So-Young Nam had been studying the nebula's energy storms. These spatial anomalies aren't just hiding us, she explained to the Leadership Council. They're also a source of incredible power. If we can learn to use this energy, we could build weapons and shields that are far beyond current technology. Dongmin Kim had arrived with the second wave of colonists. He had spent months on Earth, organizing a secret network of supporters who remained in Council space. I have contacts on 30 different worlds, he reported. Many people are unhappy with the Council's decision to exile Earth. Some are willing to help us. What kind of help? President Choi asked. She had come to New Terra with the third wave and was now setting up a new government. Information mostly, Dongmin said, but also some supplies and equipment. There are humans living on other worlds who want to join us, but they can't leave openly. Admiral Park looked at the reports from all the different projects. How long before we have a real fleet? The first prototype warship should be ready in 6 months, Taeho said. I'm calling it Earth's Vengeance. It will use our fusion quantum drive combined with armor that can adapt to different types of weapons. Adaptive armor? Dr. Nam asked with interest. The armor learns from each attack, Taeho explained. The first time an enemy weapon hits it, the armor takes damage. But the second time, it's ready. The third time, the weapon is almost useless. Dr. Nam smiled. I can help with that. I've been working on smart materials that can change their properties in real time. More ships arrived from Earth every few weeks, bringing more people and supplies. The colony grew from a few thousand to hundreds of thousands. Cities began to appear on New Terra's surface. Orbital stations were built around the planet. But the most important construction was happening in secret. Deep in the asteroid fields of the system, Taeho was building something that no one had ever seen before. A shipyard the size of a small moon, hidden inside a hollowed-out asteroid. What are you building in there? Admiral Park asked during one of her inspections. Taeho's eyes gleamed with excitement. The future, he said. Ships that can phase in and out of normal space. Weapons that can fire through folded dimensions. Defense systems that can make our entire fleet invisible. President Choi, who now called herself the Provisional Governor of New Terra, visited the secret shipyard. What she saw there made her gasp. Massive warships were taking shape unlike anything humans had ever built before. How many can you build? She asked. With the resources in this system, thousands, Taeho replied. And each one will be worth 10 council ships. Dr. Nam had made her own discoveries. The energy storms in the nebula are actually tears in space-time, she explained. If we can control them, we can travel instantly between different parts of the galaxy. Faster than hyperspace? Admiral Park asked. Much faster, and completely undetectable. 5 years after the exile, New Terra was no longer just a refugee camp. It was the capital of a growing empire. The Terran Dominion, as it was now called, controlled 7 star systems within the nebula. More than 50 million people lived in the growing colonies. Admiral Park commanded a fleet of 300 ships, with more being built every month. Her flagship, Indomitable Terra, was a kilometer long and bristled with weapons that could punch through any known shield. The Council thinks we're all dead or hiding in fear, Dongmin reported during a meeting of the Dominion's leadership. They have no idea what we've built here. Governor Choi looked at the holographic display showing their growing empire. Maybe it's time they found out. Not yet, Admiral Park said. We need more ships, more allies. The Council still has thousands of ships spread across the galaxy. What about the other exiled species? Dr. Nam suggested. Dongmin's reports mention several alien races that have been thrown out of the Council or oppressed by them. Dongmin nodded. The insectoid hive minds were exiled 50 years ago. The Robotic Synthesis Collective was declared non-sentient and enslaved. There are tribal clans living in the asteroid fields because the Council took their homeworlds. Potential allies, Admiral Park mused. More than that, Governor Choi said firmly. Potential citizens of a new kind of empire. One that judges people by what they do, not what species they are. The meeting ended with a new mission. The Terran Dominion would reach out to every exiled, oppressed, and forgotten group in the galaxy. They would build an alliance of the unwanted, the feared, and the cast aside. And when they were ready, they would remind the Galactic Council why it was dangerous to make enemies of those who had nothing left to lose. 5 years had changed everything. The refugee camps of New Terra had grown into gleaming cities that stretched across 3 continents. Orbital shipyards circled the planet like metal rings, producing new vessels every day. What had started as a desperate escape had become something much more powerful. Empress Jiwoo Choi stood on the balcony of her palace, looking out over the capital city of New Seoul. She no longer called herself governor or president. The people had demanded a stronger title for their leader, and she had accepted the responsibility that came with it. "Your Majesty," said her aide. Approaching carefully, "Admiral Park is requesting a meeting." Jiwoo nodded. "Send her up." Admiral Hyejin Park entered the throne room a few minutes later. Half of her face was now metal in circuits, the result of injuries from a testing accident 3 years ago. Instead of weakening her, the cybernetic implants had made her faster and stronger than ever. "We need to discuss the expansion," Park said without ceremony. "We now control 47 star systems in the Outer Rim. Our fleet has grown to over 3,000 ships." "And our allies?" Jiwoo asked. "The alliance of the Exiled is stronger than ever. Queen Zixara's insectoid swarms have joined us completely. They bring 700 ships and billions of soldiers." Jiwoo had met Queen Zixara the previous year. The alien queen was the size of a building, with a mind that could control millions of her children at once. She had been grateful when human ships rescued her people from the prison planet where the Council had left them to die. "What about the Synthesis Collective?" Jiwoo asked. "Even better," Park smiled. "They've integrated completely with our computer systems. Every ship in our fleet now has artificial intelligence that learns and adapts. The robots are happy to be considered real people again." The Synthesis Collective had been a surprise. When Dongmin's agents made contact with them, the humans discovered that the robots had been building their own hidden civilization for decades. They were brilliant engineers and perfect soldiers who never needed rest. "And the warrior clans? There are shock troops now," Park said. 10,000 of the fiercest fighters in the galaxy. They swore loyalty to you personally after you gave them new homeworlds. The tribal warrior clans had been living in asteroid mining stations, barely surviving after the Council took their planets. They were humanoid, but much larger and stronger than regular humans. Their honor culture had bonded well with human military traditions. "How many people are we governing now?" Jiwoo asked. "Nearly 200 million across all species," Park replied. "The Dominion is growing faster than we can build infrastructure for it." A communication alert chimed. The main screen lit up with the image of Dongmin Kim, calling from somewhere in Council space. He looked older and more serious than when they had left Earth. "Your Majesty," he said with a slight bow, "I have news from the core worlds." "Go ahead," Jiwoo said. 3 more species have contacted our agents. The Aquatic Federation is considering rebellion against the Council. The plant mines of Verdania are angry about new taxation laws. Most importantly, the Zeltharian colony worlds are starting to question High Counselor Vexthal's leadership. This was interesting news. The Zeltharians were the most powerful single species in the Council. If they had internal problems, it could create opportunities. "What about our spy network?" Admiral Park asked. "Growing every day," Dongmin replied. "We have agents on 40 different worlds now. Some are humans who stayed behind. Others are aliens who have grown tired of the Council's rule." Supreme Engineer Tae-Ho Lee joined the conversation from his command center at the secret shipyard. "I have something to show you all," he said excitedly. The new prototype is ready. The screen split to show a view from the shipyard. In the center of the massive construction bay floated the most beautiful ship any of them had ever seen. It was 2 kilometers long, painted in dark blue with silver accents. Weapons ports lined its hull like the scales of a dragon. "I call her Terra Ascendant," Tae-Ho said proudly. "She's equipped with quantum phase cannons, dimensional shields, and my new Ghost Protocol." "Ghost Protocol?" Jiwoo asked. "The ship can become temporarily incorporeal," Tae-Ho explained. "Enemy weapons pass right through it. Then it solidifies again to attack." Dr. So Young Nam's voice joined the conversation from her research station. "I've made a breakthrough with the consciousness transfer technology. We can now save the minds of severely wounded soldiers and put them into mechanical bodies." "Are you talking about making robots out of people?" Admiral Park asked with concern. "I'm talking about giving people a choice," Dr. Nam replied. "If someone is dying from injuries, they can choose to continue serving in a mechanical body. We're calling them the Iron Guard." The technology was controversial. but several volunteers had already undergone the process. They retained their personalities and memories but gained incredible strength and endurance. Some had even requested the transfer without being injured, wanting to become something more than human. Speaking of our military, Admiral Park said, Captain Moon Ho Jang has requested permission to begin active operations against Council targets. Captain Jang had become famous throughout the Dominion for his daring raids. His Special Forces unit, the Storm Riders, had never failed a mission. They specialized in impossible rescues and surgical strikes against heavily defended targets. What kind of operations? Jiwoo asked. Prison breaks mostly, Park replied. There are millions of political prisoners on Council prison worlds. If we can free them, we gain both new citizens and strike a blow against Council authority. Jiwoo considered this carefully. That would be an act of war. Your Majesty, Dongmin said from the screen, we're already at war. The Council just doesn't know it yet. The decision was made to authorize limited military operations. Captain Yang's first target was the prison world of Tartarus V, where the Council kept its most dangerous political prisoners. The raid was a complete success. His forces freed 50,000 prisoners and destroyed the orbital defense platforms without losing a single ship. The rescue of Tartarus V sent shockwaves throughout the galaxy. The Council had believed the prison was impossible to attack. News of the raid spread to every world, inspiring hope in the oppressed and fear in their oppressors. The Council is calling emergency sessions, Dongmin reported a week later. They're arguing about how to respond. Some want to negotiate, others want to send the entire fleet against us. Let them come, Admiral Park said grimly. We're ready. Dr. Nam had been working on new defensive systems for their homeworlds. I've perfected the planetary shield generators, she announced. Any attack on New Terra or our other core worlds will face energy barriers that can stop even antimatter weapons. Meanwhile, Taiho had been mass-producing new ship designs. I can build 50 ships a month now, he reported. And each new class is better than the last. The most impressive development was the recruitment of entire Council military units. Admiral Park had been secretly meeting with alien officers who were unhappy with their orders. 3 complete battle groups had defected to the Dominion, bringing their ships and crews with them. Why are they joining us? Jiwoo asked during a meeting with some of the defecting officers. Because you offer something the Council never did, replied Admiral Korhak, a former Council commander. Hope. The Council rules through fear and control. The Dominion rewards merit and courage. The Dominion had adopted a policy of earned citizenship. Anyone who contributed to the common defense and welfare could become a full citizen regardless of their species or background. This was revolutionary in a galaxy where most governments favored certain species over others. Queen Zixara's swarm intelligence had proven particularly valuable in managing the diverse population. Her ability to coordinate millions of minds made administration of the growing empire incredibly efficient. The hive mind structure allows for perfect communication, she explained through her translator device. Every citizen knows their role and purpose. There is no confusion or conflict. But not everyone was happy with the rapid changes. Some humans worried about losing their identity in the growing alliance. Others questioned whether aliens could truly be trusted. We're not trying to eliminate human culture, Jiwoo addressed these concerns in a public speech. We're creating something new, a civilization where the best qualities of every species can flourish. The speech was broadcast throughout Dominion space and secretly transmitted to Council worlds. It sparked demonstrations on dozens of planets as oppressed populations heard about the alternatives to Council rule. High Counselor Vexthal finally responded with his own broadcast. The terrorists calling themselves the Terran Dominion represent a threat to galactic peace. They must be stopped before their corruption spreads further. But his words rang hollow. The Dominion had not attacked any civilian targets or committed any atrocities. They had only freed prisoners and offered refuge to anyone seeking a better life. He's losing control, Dongmin observed. His own people are starting to question his authority. The stage was set for a larger conflict. The Dominion now had the strength to challenge the Council directly, while the Council was beginning to fracture from internal disputes. Both sides knew that the current situation could not continue much longer. Admiral Park stood in the command center of Terra Ascendant. Looking at the Sta High Counselor Vexthal slammed his fist on the Council table, making the other delegates jump. Enough, he roared. These humans have made fools of us for the last time. The emergency session of the Galactic Council had been going on for hours. Reports kept coming in about more prison breaks, more defections, and more worlds questioning Council authority. The situation in the Outer Rim had grown beyond anything they could ignore. The Fifth Fleet will crush this rebellion once and for all, Vexthal declared. Admiral Gorthak will take 800 ships and destroy every human vessel he finds. Some of the other council members looked uncomfortable. Perhaps we should try negotiation first, suggested the Aquatic Federation representative. The humans have not attacked any civilian targets. Vexthal's eyes blazed with anger.
They are terrorists.
They have stolen our property and corrupted our citizens. There will be no negotiation. Admiral Gorthak stood at attention beside the council table. He was a massive creature with 4 arms and armor-plated skin. My fleet will depart immediately, High Counselor. These humans will learn that the Council's power cannot be challenged. 3 days later, the Fifth Fleet entered the edge of the Kepler Nebula. Gorthak had brought his finest ships and most experienced crews. He expected to find scattered refugee vessels hiding in the asteroid fields. Instead, his sensors detected something impossible. 200 warships were waiting for them in perfect formation. At their head was a massive vessel that dwarfed anything in the Council fleet. "Admiral," called his sensor officer, "the lead ship is nearly 2 kilometers long. I've never seen anything like it." Admiral Hyojin Park stood on the bridge of Terra Ascendant watching the Council fleet approach. Her cybernetic eye analyzed their formation and weapon signatures automatically. "They brought 800 ships," she said calmly. "They're not taking any chances." "Should we call for reinforcements?" asked her second-in-command. "No," Park replied. 200 ships will be enough. We need to send a message that quality matters more than quantity." Captain Moon Ho Jang was aboard his own ship, Stormrider, positioned with the other fast attack vessels. "All units report ready, Admiral." The Ghost Protocol is charged and standing by. Dr. So Young Nam watched from the command center on New Terra. Her consciousness transfer technology had been installed in several of the ships, allowing instant communication across the entire fleet. "All weapon systems are functioning perfectly," she reported. Supreme Engineer Tae-Ho Lee was monitoring the battle from his mobile command ship. "The dimensional cannons are ready. The adaptive armor is online. Let's show them what human engineering can do." Admiral Gorthak opened a communication channel to the human fleet. "I am Admiral Gorthak of the Galactic Council Navy. You are ordered to surrender immediately." Admiral Park's image appeared on his screen. Her mechanical eye glowed red in the dim light of her bridge. "I am Admiral Hyojin Park of the Terran Dominion. You are trespassing in our space. Leave now or face the consequences." Gorthak laughed, a sound like grinding metal. "You have 200 ships against my 800. You cannot win." "Numbers aren't everything," Park replied coldly. "Attack when ready, Admiral." The battle began with the Council fleet firing a massive barrage from long range. Thousands of energy beams and missiles streaked toward the Dominion ships. But something strange happened. The human vessels began to flicker and fade, becoming transparent like ghosts. "What is happening?" Gorthak demanded as his weapons passed harmlessly through the enemy ships. "Ghost Protocol activated," announced Tae-Ho over the communication network. "All ships begin attack run." The Dominion fleet solidified again and surged forward at incredible speed. Their fusion quantum drives allowed them to accelerate far faster than any Council ship. Within minutes, they were in the middle of the enemy formation. The Terra Ascendant fired its main guns, and Gorthak watched in horror as the energy beams punched straight through his flagship's shields. The weapons seemed to ignore normal space, striking their targets through folded dimensions. "Impossible," he shouted. "Our shields should stop any known weapon." Captain Jiang's Stormriders were dancing between the larger Council ships, their small vessels moving too fast to track. They fired precisely targeted shots that disabled engines and weapon systems without destroying the ships entirely. The robotic ships of the Synthesis Collective fought with perfect coordination. They shared information instantly, allowing them to predict and counter every Council tactic. Their artificial intelligence learned from each exchange, becoming more effective with every passing minute. Queen Zixara's insectoid swarms attacked in waves, overwhelming the Council point defenses. Her children piloted small fighters that moved like living creatures, impossible to predict or target effectively. But the real shock came when the warrior clans engaged. Their massive ships were built for close combat, and they rammed straight into the Council formation. When the hulls touched, clan warriors teleported directly onto the enemy ships to fight hand-to-hand. Admiral Gorthak's flagship shuddered as something hit the hull. Alarms blared as his crew reported boarders throughout the ship. "How are they getting through our shields?" he demanded. "Unknown, sir," replied his tactical officer. "They seem to be materializing inside our ship." The boarding parties were members of the Iron Guard, Dr. Nam's consciousness transfer soldiers. Their mechanical bodies could phase through shields and armor, allowing them to attack the most heavily defended targets. Gorthak grabbed his personal weapon and headed for the bridge's emergency bunker. But before he could reach safety, the blast doors opened and a figure stepped through. It was humanoid but clearly mechanical, with glowing red eyes and weapons built into its arms. "Admiral Gorthak," the Iron Guard soldier said in a perfectly calm voice. "You are defeated. Order your fleet to surrender." "Never," Gorthak roared, firing his weapon at the mechanical warrior. The energy blast passed harmlessly through its body. "Resistance is futile," the soldier replied, reaching out with one metal hand. Gorthak's weapon crumbled to dust at its touch. On the main battlefield, the Council fleet was falling apart. Their weapons could barely damage the Dominion ships, while return fire cut through their defenses like paper. Ship after ship exploded or surrendered as their crews realized the hopelessness of their situation. Admiral Park watched the tactical display as red dots representing Council ships went dark one by one. "Cease fire," she ordered when only a few dozen enemy vessels remained functional. "Open a channel to Admiral Gorthak." Gorthak's image appeared on her screen. He looked defeated and confused. "How?" he asked simply. "How did you become so powerful?" "Because we had to," Park replied. "You exiled us and left us to die. We chose to become stronger instead. This is impossible. The Council has ruled the galaxy for 3,000 years. We have the most advanced technology, the largest fleet." "You have become soft," Park interrupted. "You rule through fear and politics. We rule through merit and necessity. Your people fight because they are ordered to. Ours fight because they believe in something." The Iron Guard soldier standing next to Gorthak spoke up. "Admiral Park, the prisoner count is 730,000. Most Council ships have surrendered intact." Park nodded. "Treat the prisoners well. Any who wish to join the Dominion may do so. The others will be returned to Council space with a message." "What message?" Gorthak asked. "That this was just the beginning," Park said coldly. "Tell your High Counselor that the Terran Dominion is no longer hiding in the shadows. We are coming for him." The battle had lasted only 6 hours. When it was over, the entire Fifth Fleet was either captured or destroyed. Only a handful of ships escaped to carry news of the defeat back to Council space. Captain Zhang boarded Gorthak's flagship to oversee the prisoner transfer. "You fought well for someone using outdated tactics," he told the Council Admiral. "Outdated?" Gorthak asked. "Your people still think about space combat the way it was 100 years ago," Zhang explained. "Big ships, heavy armor, lots of guns. We think about it differently." "How?" "Speed, adaptability, and technology that your scientists haven't even imagined yet. Plus, we have something your fleet lacks." "What's that?" "Unity," Zhang said simply. "Your crews are from a dozen different species who barely trust each other. Our crews would die for each other without hesitation." Dr. Nam supervised the analysis of captured Council technology. "Their ships are well built but predictable," she reported to the Leadership Council. "No innovation in decades. They've been relying on their numerical advantage for too long." Supreme Engineer Tejo examined the Council weapons and shields. "I can improve our defenses based on their attack patterns," he said. "But honestly, they're not much of a threat anymore." Empress Jiwu received the battle reports in her palace on New Terra. The victory was even more complete than they had hoped. "What are our losses?" she asked Admiral Park. "Minimal," Park replied. 12 ships damaged, none destroyed. Casualty count is under 500. The Ghost Protocol and adaptive armor performed perfectly. And the political impact? Massive, reported Dong Min from his spy network. The news is spreading across the galaxy faster than the Council can suppress it. Demonstrations, huh? 2 years had passed since the Battle of Nebula's Edge, and the galaxy was no longer the same. The Terran Dominion had grown from a hidden rebellion into a true empire that controlled 73 star systems. Their black and silver ships were now seen throughout the Outer Rim, bringing order to worlds that had been abandoned by the Council. Empress Jiwu Choi stood in the war room of her expanded palace, studying a holographic map of the galaxy. Red zones marked Council territory, blue showed Dominion space, and purple indicated the growing number of neutral worlds that were considering which side to join. "Your Majesty," announced General Moonho Jang as he entered the room. The former captain had been promoted after leading a series of successful campaigns that liberated 12 worlds in the past year. "The Storm Riders have completed their mission at Altair." Jiwu smiled. The Altair system had been a major council stronghold, controlling one of the main hyperspace routes to the core worlds. "Resistance?" "Minimal," Jang replied. "The local population helped us. They've been planning their own rebellion for months. When we arrived, half the orbital defenses switched sides immediately. This had become a common pattern. The Dominion rarely had to conquer worlds by force anymore. Their reputation for treating citizens fairly had spread, and many planets now welcomed their arrival as liberators rather than invaders. Admiral Hyojin Park appeared on the main communication screen from her flagship. Her cybernetic implants had been upgraded again, giving her an almost alien appearance that struck fear into enemy hearts. "Your Majesty, I have a report on our fleet status." "Go ahead, Admiral. We now have 8,000 ships in active service, with more completing construction every week. Supreme Engineer Lee's new shipyards are producing vessels faster than we can train crews for them." The growth had been incredible. Taeho Lee had perfected automated construction techniques that allowed shipyards to build themselves. Once a system was secured, construction fleets would arrive and have a fully operational shipyard running within months. "What about our new allies?" Jiwu asked. "The alliance of the Exiled now includes 17 different species," Park replied. "Queen Zixara's swarms have grown to control 30 systems. The Synthesis Collective has established manufacturing centers on 50 worlds. The warrior clans have recruited volunteers from dozens of species." Dr. So-Young Nam joined the conversation from her research facility. Her consciousness transfer technology had advanced to the point where she could exist in multiple mechanical bodies simultaneously. "I have breakthrough news," she announced. "The dimensional weaponry project is complete." This got everyone's attention. For months, Dr. Nam had been working on weapons that could attack through folded space. "How does it work?" General Jang asked. "The reality cannon can target anything within 1,000 light-years," Dr. Nam explained. "It folds spacetime to create a direct connection between the weapon and the target. Distance becomes irrelevant." "Are you saying we can destroy ships that aren't even in the same star system?" Admiral Park asked in amazement. "Exactly. We tested it yesterday on an abandoned asteroid field. The target was completely annihilated from a range of 500 light-years. Empress Jiwu considered the implications. "How many can you build?" "I can have 12 operational within 6 months," Dr. Nam replied. "Each one requires rare materials, but we now control enough mining worlds to supply them." Supreme Engineer Taeho Lee appeared on another screen from his mobile construction platform. "Your Majesty, I have news about our intelligence operations." "The spy network?" "Better than that. I've been in contact with Dongmin about Operation Conviction. 3 Council fleet admirals have agreed to defect during the next major battle." This was incredible news. Dongmin Kim had spent years building relationships with disaffected Council officers. His network now included people at the highest levels of their military. "Which admirals?" Admiral Park asked. "Admirals Kethron, Yixtar, and Moldine," Taeho replied. "Together they command nearly 2,000 ships. When they switch sides during battle, it will create chaos in the Council ranks." "What about High Counselor Vexthal?" General Jang asked. "Is he still in power?" Dongmin's image appeared on the screen from his secret location in Council space. "Barely," he said. "The Council is fracturing. Half the member species are demanding his removal. The other half are afraid to act because they don't know who they can trust." "What about Earth?" Empress Jiwu asked quietly. "Still blockaded, but the situation is improving," Dongmin replied. "Our supply ships have been getting through the Council patrols. The population is no longer starving, and resistance groups are becoming more active." The liberation of Earth remained a major goal for the Dominion. The homeworld was still under Council control, its people suffering under an economic blockade that had lasted for 7 years. "I want to accelerate our timeline," Jiwu decided. "General Jang, how quickly can we secure the route to the core worlds?" "The Altair victory opens a direct path," Jang replied. "If we can take the Vega system, we'll have clear access to the inner sectors." Do it. Admiral Park, I want you to prepare for the largest fleet action in our history. We're going to break through to the core worlds and force a final confrontation. Dr. Nam's new weapons would make the campaign possible. Ships equipped with reality cannons could destroy entire fleets without engaging in traditional combat. The psychological impact would be devastating to Council morale, but the real breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Queen Zixura's hive mind had been experimenting with collective consciousness technology. Her scientists had found a way to network the minds of willing volunteers across vast distances. Imagine, she explained through her translator, a fleet where every captain shares the same tactical awareness, where every gunner can see through every sensor, where coordination is perfect because there is only one mind controlling everything. The first trials had been conducted with volunteer crews from the Storm Riders. The results were remarkable. Ships moved with impossible precision, anticipating each other's actions perfectly. Combat effectiveness increased by over 300%. Are there any side effects? Admiral Park asked with concern. The volunteers report feeling more connected to their comrades, Queen Zixara replied. Some say they never want to disconnect from the network. But there are no negative health impacts. The technology was controversial among humans who valued individual identity. But enough volunteers came forward to crew an entire battle group. They called themselves the Unity Fleet, and quickly became the most elite force in the Dominion military. Meanwhile, the political situation in Council space continued to deteriorate. The loss of the Fifth Fleet had triggered a crisis of confidence that was tearing the government apart. Several member species had already withdrawn from the Council, declaring neutrality in the growing conflict. The Aquatic Federation has officially left the Council, Dongmin reported during a secret meeting. They're offering to mediate between us and the remaining Council members. No mediation, Empress Jiwu said firmly. The time for talking is over. They exiled us, blockaded Earth, and tried to destroy us. Now they face the consequences. The final piece of the puzzle came when General Zhang's intelligence teams discovered the location of the Council's most secret weapon. On a hidden moon in the Proxima system, they had been building a massive space station armed with planet-killing weapons. It's called the Final Solution, Zhang reported grimly. They're planning to use it to destroy New Terra and end the war in one strike. Admiral Park's mechanical eye glowed brighter as she processed this information. Then we destroy it first. I'll take the Unity Fleet and eliminate this threat. No, said Dr. Nam. Let me test the reality cannon on a real target. If it works as planned, we can destroy the station from here without risking any ships. The test was conducted 3 days later. Dr. Nam's weapon fired across 500 light-years of space, opening a dimensional rift that delivered a concentrated blast of antimatter directly into the heart of the enemy station. The explosion was visible from nearby star systems. Target eliminated, Dr. Nam announced calmly. The Final Solution no longer exists. News of the station's destruction spread rapidly through both Council and Dominion space. For the Council, it was another devastating blow to their confidence. For the Dominion, it was proof that they now possessed weapons beyond anything their enemies could imagine. High Counselor Vexthal made one final desperate attempt to maintain power. He gathered what remained of the Council fleet for a last stand at the Proxima system. Nearly 4,000 ships assembled for what he called the final battle for galactic civilization. But Dongmin's intelligence network had infiltrated even this last gathering. When the battle began, half the Council fleet would switch sides according to predetermined signals. The Great Betrayal, as it would be known, would shatter the Council's remaining power forever. Admiral Park stood on the bridge of her new flagship, Terra Ascendant Mark II, as the Dominion's main battle fleet prepared to jump to Proxima. Behind her stretched the largest armada in galactic history, 15,000 ships representing dozens of species, all united under the Terran banner. All ships report ready, her communications officer announced. Signal the fleet, Park ordered.